Great products attract hackers, builders, operators, people who take what you made and bend it into workflows you never imagined. Now, I've been watching how people use Monopoly, and three patterns kept showing up. Some users ran a report, saw the gaps, then opened a blank doc and started translating findings into product requirements by hand. Others grabbed 2 or 3 reports and started mapping the competitive landscape manually. A few did both. Competitive view first, and then requirements for the winner. Same destination, manual route every time. Yeah. Here's the thing about Monopoly Report. It sits at one altitude: insights, findings, the gap between what you claim and what customers believe. Turning that into action sits at a different altitude: requirements, priorities, what to build, and why. The jump between those two altitudes used to cost you a strategist, a few meetings, a few back and forth, maybe a consultant who charges by the hour to say what the data already said. Now you can do it in the time it takes to finish your coffee. Drop your report into Clarity GPT. It recognizes what you're working with, asks a few questions, generates a PRD, an MRD, or a full competitive analysis, grounded in what customers actually said, not what stakeholders assumed. The value here is velocity, a sanity check, a starting point with teeth. I just got mine cleaned yesterday. It won't give you the answers. It'll give you enough to take over with your judgment, your context, your decisions. Here's how it works. You're logged into your dashboard. You've run a couple of reports. You have them all, in your account. And what you want to do is you want to open up a report, basically. And once you have it open, so in my case, I have, Gong here open as a quick demo, just for the sake of this. What I would want to do is just go to File and hit Print, and then just save this whole report as a PDF. But the only thing to be mindful of when exporting a report as a PDF is, if you go down here, you want to make sure that these are not collapsed, the customer voices, because, in the PDF, this will not get exported out. That's it. So the reports gets generated in about 5 to 6, 7 minutes, which you are aware of if you've run a Monopoly report. And then all you do is you open up Clarity GPT, which you're going to see a link access to in your account if you are a paid user. And then there are basically 2 different workflows. Actually, there's a couple of different workflows, but I'm going to show you 2, and then you can have a combination permutation of those as you go along. So once you open Clarity GPT, which is open here, as you can see, all I'm doing is that PDF report that I exported, I'm going to grab it and drop it into this window. It's uploaded. Now I'm just going to hit send, and Clarity GPT is going to know exactly what this document is and what to do. So if I drop in a single document, right, then it's going to immediately put me into, hey, do you want to start building out a PRD or a MRD, market requirements document, or a product requirements document? And all I have to do is say, generate let's say I want to generate a MRD. Based on the insights found in the report, it's going to know exactly what to do, and I'm just going to hit send. So it's running, and it's basically just pulling all the insights, all the data from the report itself. It's all been configured on the back end, so you don't have to do anything. As I was testing this out with some of the early users who've given me some very thoughtful feedback, one of them was Josh Lohman, who is from Goldfront. He owns a category design studio, super cool guy. And so he said, why don't you add a Steve Jobs mode to this so it can simplify the output? Because what's going to happen is in some contexts, you're going to need the full detailed output for documentation purposes. But when you are socializing and talking to peers and colleagues and getting buy-in, you're going to need the more crispy executive version. So this will do both. So let's take a look at that. Okay. And it's outlining what the issues are, what the gaps are based on that, based on actual customer voices, not assumptions of the executives. It's actually generating that report right now. you can actually take the template internally that you might have of an MRD. You can upload it here and say, fill this out. And it will do that for you. So that's one option. Because if you want it to be in a specific format, you can do that as well. But now, let me just show you two quick features just so that we have this workflow covered. So now I can also say generate PRD. It has the full context of where this business is at, where the gaps and opportunities are, and what could be done. And then it's doing all of that work for you on your behalf. Could you imagine the amount of time it would take to do this in the past? You would have to have, firstly, how many people would have to be involved? How many meetings would you have to attend? And by the time you actually get to some sort of semblance of approvals and sign off, like 6 to maybe, let's say, minimum 4 months have gone by, a quarter has gone by basically. So now we've got the PRD also generated. By the way, I've done this for Whoop, the PDF that I ran. I just realized it was for the Whoop brand. Okay. And so now it's got the PRD document almost finished. Again, contextualize the specific insights, gaps, and opportunities that we've found based on real customer voices and real market sentiment. And then we generated a PRD. And now I can go in and say, for example, I can say Steve Jobs mode. And what it'll do is it'll concise all of this into more palatable non-documentation speak. Because again, like I said, you're going to have different use cases for, detailed documentation that's going to be required. And then you're going to need verbiage to be able to socialize and communicate this, maybe use it in your decks, et cetera, right? Because all that content lives separately and is intended for a different audience. So now it's created it's taken that and just simplified it into Steve Jobs mode. Again, I really appreciate Josh Lowen for this great idea. And then you can even say something even further, go and say simple prose. And what it's going to do is it's going to distill it down even further for you. So now you have the talk track, the back data, and then the in-depth detailed documentation. You're covered on all different levels and layers. So if you have to speak to an executive, a director, or somebody in production, you have everything covered. Okay, so this is just one workflow. Now let me show you the second workflow, which is gonna kind of blow your mind. The second feature that has been requested and how I've seen people use it is they're like, could we do a competitive analysis? And I was like, yeah, why not? So what you do is, now I have two examples. Let's say you are a fintech and you're comparing your bank to another bank, or you're a cycling brand, you're comparing Rafa to Standard. You are a apparel brand, you're comparing, let's say, Lululemon to Alo. Whatever. You can do up to 3 in this, and it knows exactly what to do. Watch here. I'll just show you. So I'm basically doing a comparison between 2 banks. I'm going to drop that into here. Boom. So now the moment you add 2 reports, 2 or 3, let's say, more than one basically, it's going to automatically trigger this flow, a competitive analysis flow. Now, based on the conversations that you've had with your executive team internally, you've made some strategic choices. Do you want to play offensive, defensive, attack? And then so basically that's kind of how it's set up. And it's going to ask you, hey, are you just trying to understand the competitive landscape? Because maybe you just ran a report on 3 competitors. Or it's asking, are you EQ Bank? Are you Tangerine? Who do you represent? So once you have that clear, and then you say, here's what we want to do: attack, defend, whatever. And it's going to generate the report accordingly. So let's say I'm going to say 1 is let's say I'm A, Tangerine. Okay. Number 2, I want to claim, understand, attack. Okay. So I want to defend, B. And then for 3, I want to say any comprehensive. Okay. Comprehensive. All I'm going to do is hit send. And now it's going to do all the heavy lifting up front on your behalf. It's all been configured on the back end to handle this. I can't wait to have this in your hands so you can start getting shit done like magic. By the way, in these conversations, at any point, you can say Steve Jobs mode, and it will simplify the content for you. Because, like I said before, you might have messages and internal communication to for different altitudes, and they speak in, we know, different languages. So the Steve Jobs mode is going to help you bridge the gap between your heavy documentation and in-depth tactical steps into simple exec speak. I'm just like thinking, again, how long it would take in the past, how many meetings, how much effort, and the fact that you have velocity now on both those fronts is just what makes me really happy and proud of this, and how people are using it and the feedback that people have been giving me on this. Once this is done, I can then jump back into a similar flow where I can say, generate a PRD or generate an MRD or Steve Jobs mode, or provide it my own internal document and say, could you fill out this MRD or PRD based on this format, and it will do that for you. That's pretty much it. It's super simple. You have a full competitive analysis already in front of you based on a couple of choices that you're going to make. Let me know how it goes. I'm really excited to give this in the hands of all the paid users of Monopoly, and looking forward to you crushing it in 2026. Have a good one.